Hey guys, in here in the shop today doing some maintenance by me onesie self, so I thought I'd answer a few questions and talk a little bit about the car here again. So yep, I had a intake leak. My lower intake manifold was leaking, so I had to pop that off. And while I was fixing that, it's all back together now, but I thought about all the people that have asked me about this weird injection setup I've got up on here, so I thought I'd elaborate a bit more. This is GM's Crossfire fuel injection intake system. And yes, it's gotten a lot of nasty names over the years because there were some problems with it. So I thought I'd just elaborate a little bit more on this. So this was kind of a stopgap measure that they had. They hadn't yet gotten a proper port fuel injection system like what you think of in a modern car done yet. So it was only in 1982 to 1984 Corvettes, Camaros, Firebirds, and Trans Ams. Those were the only cars that got this setup, and this was an 84 car, so this is what it got. So individual throttle bodies, and these are actually like the throttle bodies you would have gotten on an economy car of the day, so like a single barrel, two of them, and then they're staggered, and they actually feed the opposing bank of cylinders on the V8, okay, hence the term Crossfire. The idea was to kind of smooth out the path that the air has to get to the cylinders. This is something they used to do back in the 60s. Anyone who's seen a 60s Camaro with a cross-ram intake knows that that's something they did back then. And it does actually work. If you had a central injector pod or a carburetor, then, you know, you think about it, the air has to take like a 90 to go out to the cylinder, then almost like a 45 to get in. And here it's just a 45 straight on home. So why do people hate these things? Why do they rag on them so much? Well, like I said, it was a compromise setup, and thus has got a lot of compromises. For starters, they used the same intake manifold on the car, whether it was a 5.7 or a 5.0. So these ports are actually a little bit on the small side to feed what we've got going on here. And that costs you horsepower. Second, they went straight from a 4-barrel carburetor to this. So a lot of old school guys that liked carburetors were, you know, scratching their heads and going, what the heck is this? Next, this is a very early computer control system. If we kind of look in through the car here, there's the computer, that black box. And it works and all that, but you can't just enrich in it, adjust the timing when you put a camshaft in and stuff like that. It won't work. The fuel map is not adjustable, so that made life more of a pain that way. So in terms of upgrading these cars, which like I just said, they only went into performance cars, people didn't like them that way. The other thing was they run really good, like mine does, when everything's working right, but there's a lot of compromise in here that makes them not run good all that often. Here's probably my favorite one. There is only one oxygen sensor. I don't know if you can see it down there. It doesn't look like it. But there's only one oxygen sensor in one of the exhaust manifolds. So that means that this throttle body is the only one it actually is getting any information off of. So if this one is having an issue, it won't know about it. And if this one's having an issue, it'll compensate both of them, even though it's only the one having the issue. And ironically, that's what this car had when I first bought it. The regulator was blown out of that throttle body. So it was reading massive fuel over here from that one, so it tried to lean things out. So this one was running ridiculously fat because the fuel was leaking directly into the intake. And then it had this one running as lean as possible. So as you can imagine, the thing ran like junk. It barely ran at all because that one had a problem, and that's the only one it pays attention to. So yeah, all those factors combined, you know, this setup got a lot of nicknames, including misfire and ceasefire and that type of thing. They are not that bad, as I've proven. You know, I took care of mine, and it actually makes the car runs really good. It's got a nice snap to it and everything. And because I'm doing enduro racing, the fact that it's costing me a couple of horsepowers doesn't matter. It's still plenty for such a light car. Maybe I'll get rid of it and go to something better coming up here. We'll see what time tells. But at the moment, I'm keeping it. The other thing is I just think it looks neat, the twin. Every time I open the hood, especially if I've got the air cleaners on, everyone's like, twin throttle bodies? What the, you know? It's just something you don't see anymore, and you hadn't seen when these cars came out. So, and then the other thing I did today, we're getting the car prepped for Brainerd. We put some fresh rubber on the car. These tires are Falcon Zenith tires, and I may have mentioned this in an earlier video, but a lot of folks have missed this. A lot of people ask me, like, what type of tires do you run? And I'm like, I run Falcon Azenas. And a lot of them are going, you don't run slicks? Why don't you run slicks? Here's the answer. The answer is they're not allowed by any of the racing series I race with, whether it's Champ Car, World Racing Leagues, or 24 Hours of Lemons. All three of those series require a DOT-approved radial such as this, and you can see by my marking there, it has to be a 200 treadwear or harder compound tires, so you can't even run like a cheater slick, so you can't get like those super gooey Hoosier tires that are street legal. Yeah, right. Why do they do that? The answer is it's a cost savings function. These tires are $150 per tire, which certainly isn't cheap, but it's hella cheap when you look at what the cost of a racing slick in about that size would be. That's, depending on compound and brand, that's well over $200 for a car like this. And I'm getting, these are the first new tires I've bought for this car, so I'm getting over 2 races out of a set of tires with rotation. The tires that are on the back of the car have actually seen 2 races already, and they're doing just fine. So they're probably going to be done after this next one. But yeah, 3 races out of tires, whereas like if I was running a true slick, we'd be literally probably changing them mid-race depending upon which track and how many hours and that type of thing. So I'd be getting a race at best, probably more like half a race, depending upon compound. And to put that into perspective, an actual like true racing slick on a car like this at a track like Gingerman or whatever, it's about 2 seconds a lap. So there's just no way that I could, if I wasn't running slicks, I couldn't compete with someone who was. So it's kind of strange, but it's a rule that I'm in big time in favor of. Again, it just keeps the costs down. I don't have to buy rain tires because these are actually pretty good in the rain. There are teams that buy dedicated rain tires. Me personally, if it's starting to rain, I'll just get, like these, for example. I'll probably scuff them and then put them away. We'll just put the freshest tires we have if it starts raining. But yeah, that's the kind of fun we're having. My intake is back on, all sealed up, ready to go. It was so muddy at the last event thanks to the rain, we actually shampooed the interior of the poor car here. Look at that, the belts are orange again instead of a yucky brown color. So, but did all that. Fresh nitrous bottles. And we are ready to go. So, yeah, I'm just going to tidy up here. I'll throw the hood back on it, put the tools away, and we're going to park it until the Brainerd event comes around, and I'll see all you guys there. Thanks for watching, and we'll do a video and some... and you know what? If you guys got any other questions about this nonsense, the car or how I do the racing or so forth, just throw them in the comments below, and I'll answer them for you. Thanks for watching.